Welcome one and all. This is WESN Content Capital Face of Sport. It's Thursday, and you know what that means. That means NFL recap. Sean Michael Small is with me. We're going to look at some of the matches. We're going to review some of the performances. We're also going to look ahead to what's going to happen from this week. But we must start with the sad news about Tua. That injury would have happened to Tua Tagovailoa last week Tuesday when they played against the Buffalo Bills. Yet again, he fell, and yet again, concussion problems. Sean Michael Small is with me. Sean, what's the latest here?
So, essentially, he's indicated he doesn't want to retire, but he's meeting with neurologists. Now, he's actually at an interesting point contract-wise, because his salary for this year, if my understanding is correct, is still only $1.1 million, right? He has, I think it is $43 million signing bonus, which if he had to retire, the signing bonus, technically, that's essentially an upfront payment. So it's lost to the team, but he'll keep that. But he has $163 million and $67 million in guarantees, and the rest of the guaranteed money, right, minus the signing bonus, could be lost if he decides that he wants to retire as opposed to being forced to retire, because technically it's guaranteed. If the doctors say, look, you just can't play anymore, and the team is saying, well, look, we're not going to let you play anymore, right? This is not an option. Because unfortunately, he had one concussion in that game, and this, I think, reminds me of his second concussion 2 years ago. Didn't seem as though he got hit that hard, but the result of what happened to him was not pleasant looking. If I was a family member of his, if I was his parents, if I was a spouse, a child, a brother, a sister, I would be freaked out, because there have been times where players get concussed and they will be kind of shaky, they may seem a little out of it, they may be able to bluff their way through staying on the field. Julian Edelman has come out now that he's retired, he has a podcast, and he has openly admitted in some of the big games, he was like, he basically lied, right? He felt as though he had a concussion. He didn't allow himself to go through the process. And so technically, he may not have actually had a concussion. He might have just, he might have just been affected. But according to players, this is not something that's, against the norm, right? But with Tua, it's different. He loses motor control. His hands lock up as though he's having a seizure. It is almost... there's no way to hide it, to mask it. It's so obvious that something mentally has gone wrong.
In his case, Sean, it's definite that he has a concussion. He can't hide it then.
There's something neurological.
Yeah.
Right? And it's not as though the reports have come out to say...
Is this the fourth one or the third one?
Just the third. Somehow he went through all of last year, because the year before he got two.
Right.
And it was scary because he got one, came back, got another one, right? There was questions if the protocol, they did not see to the protocol. So now they have to go through a process again. They put him on IR to save themselves a roster spot. He could come back, I believe, November the 8th. But the trick is he still has to go through the process that the league will mandate for him to be able to come back.
What are you thinking?
Retired pros in media are essentially all saying, maybe you should retire. They have some pros who say they don't even want their kids to play football, right? Rodney Harrison, famous safety for his level of aggression, who has been called a dirty player, which to some extent you could see the reasoning why. Although I don't think anyone would say that he was someone with ill intentions and a bad person, right? But he played with an aggression on the field. And looking at similar type of plays now that he's retired and is an analyst, it's not as though he's all for it and he's all for the carnage. He's actually now being on the outside to look in, but to see the results from a different angle, he has actually, to some extent, maybe changed his tune. Of course, there's better information as well, understanding of all of this. So, given what happened to his two-time teammate, Junior Seau, who essentially, committed suicide, I think donated his brain, and I believe may have suffered from CTE, and other players, and then of course all of the older players who are in the 70s, 60s, what have you, from throughout the opening seasons of the NFL, who have memory issues and dementia and what have you. I think there's still a lot of unknowns. So brain injury, it's one thing if you're a player, oh, you got a concussion, you're a little bit woozy, whatever. And some players, I think, Luke Kuechly might have hung it up because of that. Andrew Luck may have hung it up early because of that. Two supremely talented players who decided, look, maybe I need to think about my long-term health. I think there might have been a linebacker in San Francisco, I can't remember his name, a similar, superstar whose career was
So
cut
what would you
short.
do, Sean Michael Small?
I don't know, because we're talking about a lot of money, right? The thing
But
is,
if you're dead, what happened to the money?
well, here's the trick. If the doctors basically tell him he can't play for the rest of the year, and he'll stay on IR, right? Technically speaking, if I was him, I wouldn't retire, because then we'll come into the next year and maybe start to earn a little bit more money. Because the difference between shutting things down now and maybe making a decision next year might be several $1 million, right? But then that comes with the risk of, I think I could make it. I think I could go. Here's the thing. I am not doctor enough to know if his next concussion will be his last concussion. So, I mean, he's doing the right thing consulting with neurologists. But something tells me it's not as though they could give him a clear-cut answer.
Yeah.
And I personally will probably consider shutting it down.
Shutting it down means retire?
Means retire. Maybe I might try to just wait out the year, go into next year, right? In part, that will also help this current concussion heal, right? Would not necessarily want to have to play again this year. The problem is the team kind of needs me, right? Unless the backup somehow, turns up or they find a replacement. But generally speaking, when Tua was out of it the 2 years ago, that was more or less it for the Dolphins season. And the thing about it is why I don't know if I would rush back as well. It's not as though when he was in the game on Thursday, they were looking good against the Bills. It wasn't looking that competitive, if my memory serves correct. But once he got the concussion, it more or less kind of signaled the practical end of that game. Tyreek Hill is there. They have talent there. That window will close. So it's a hard choice. But I definitely wouldn't want to play this year if I was him.
All right.
And maybe risk next year. But probably if he survives his next concussion, and I have to say if he survives because I have no idea, he seems to be especially vulnerable to them, I think that's it. If I was his family, I would say, you are on a clock.
That's tough.
You are not playing until you're 40. That's just not going to happen.
All right, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we'll start looking at the matches that played over this last weekend in particular. We take a short break. We'll be back. We're talking NFL. We are looking at what transpired in the second week, and we look ahead to the third week shortly. Let's go to the first game, New England Patriots against Seattle Seahawks.
Brissett looking on 3rd down and 2. Under pressure, and down he goes. 2nd down and 11 with the play clock winding down. Smith looking to throw, escapes the initial pressure, and now he's brought down. Pete Carroll and Bill Belichick, and a happy 73rd to Pete Carroll today.
Yeah, happy birthday, Pete Carroll, if you're watching.
On 1st down, up the middle out to the 49-yard line. Douglas in motion on 1st down. Fake to Stevenson. Brissett escapes. Nice touch. And another New England 1st down. McDonald in his system, 3rd down and 2. Brissett moving to his left. And it's caught by Henry once again. So the tight end, Hunter Henry, a major factor during this Patriots drive.
Jacoby Brissett is still working with them. The tight ends have to step up.
Second and goal to the end zone. Touchdown. Jalen Polk, the rookie out of Washington.
Nice job, Jacoby Brissett. Look at all the time that he has in the pocket. Offensive line doing a great job protecting.
Charbonnet in the backfield. Metcalf in motion. Smith, little sidearm toss. Second down and 5. Smith sets, fires downfield, wide open. Metcalf, touchdown. 56 yards from Geno Smith to DK Metcalf.
Ryan Grubb, offensive coordinator. What's happening is that they're not allowed to get into a huddle. So what he's done is he's forcing the Patriots to be very, very basic, either in zone or either in man.
But it's Brissett who has started the first 2 games. Third down and 9. Brissett, Henry. It will depend on the spot. Some pretty good guys to learn from in Brady and Parcells. Third down and 7. It's another first down for Henry. Kraft, who we both had the opportunity to speak to earlier, hand off to Gibson, is that as Gibson takes it down the sideline for a first down, is that Mayo was...
It's very translatable, the way that I can delegate and coach.
Gibson picked up 19 on the previous play. Long.
You're going to see Hunter Henry's up at the top. Now they motion out Antonio Gibson, who's been a really good pass-catching running back.
Empty set. Brissett moving to his right. Under pressure. There's Joey Sly, 3 for 3 last week, 29-yard attempt.
All right. Interesting, Sean. At that stage, it looked like a close game. Sean Michael.
But I was liking what I was seeing, except for that touchdown by the Seahawks.
What happened there? They were dreaming?
So it looks like Christian Gonzalez, their #1 pick from 2 years ago, who went on injury reserve, but who might be one of the best players out of last year's draft, right? And one of the best players the Patriots have drafted in a while. Him and the cornerback next to him is probably one of the Joneses. They had a blown assignment and allowed DK Metcalf to just run by. And it's like, how do you allow for that? I don't know if maybe both of them thought the other would go deep. Technically, neither of them are safety, so I don't know what the play call was. They could have potentially have been or should have been a safety to be the last man. But I'm not entirely sure to what extent it was completely just a blown assignment or if it was that DK Metcalf and the play call knew what they were doing. They were exploiting a vulnerability. They didn't seem to have any safety coming from the middle to help, right? So, but then again, if that's the #1 guy, right? Who are you going to cover? Who are you going to prioritize over him to say we're going to sit in place? That doesn't make sense to me. So therein lies the problem, because that is supposed to be one of the strengths of this defense, their cornerbacks, and essentially 2 of their top 3 cornerbacks, including their best cornerback, just let the #1 threat run by as though, you know, he had a cloaking device, nothing to see here. You know, it was like if Michael Jordan put on a Mrs. Doubtfire suit when he was playing a game and snuck by the opposing defense to score all his points. The flip side is the offense was interesting. Gerard Mayo came out. He wanted to put the conversation to bed. He said, look, all this talk about who's the starting quarterback on all this thing, we are a run-first team. That's just the be-all and end-all, right? Don't make no doubt about it. Usually, you might not want to make declarations like that, because if you are trying to, I mean, it would be obvious, but you don't necessarily want to give teams we are definitely a run-first team, like bank on it. And to some extent, it wasn't entirely true in the sense of, yes, their running game is probably one of the most important aspects of the offense, but they were quite balanced, and they utilized a lot of different people. They utilized the tight end Hunter Henry maybe more in this game creatively than I've seen him in his entire last 2 or 3 years he's been with the Patriots. So, and some of the young guys got a few catches here and there. Gibson, a new young running back. Everyone's assuming Stevenson is going to be the guy. But, you know, Gibson comes in, gives them some life. I think he's a little bit lighter, a little bit faster in the running game. So I'm seeing, ironically, this looks like the Patriots' defense of old, who, as good as they are, will give up the big play to the superstar, height, weight, speed, skill wide receiver every now and then, but be sound fundamentally, and the offense, which will be variable, will have a few tricks in the basket, will try to spread it around. Just, of course, it's not Tom Brady, it's Jacoby Brissett, so it's a work in progress. I'm not saying the ceiling will be the same, but hopefully it'll be a little bit higher. Meanwhile, Geno Smith, kind of looking dangerous against what should be a good defense that potentially did hold down the Cincinnati Bengals in week 1. But what I always say about the first couple of weeks.
Yeah, can't judge. All right, let's see what happens in the last part of this very interesting encounter.
So now Sly with a 48-yard attempt. Now the kick is blocked. So the Seahawks with excellent defense and now getting the job done on special teams. Smith on first down over the top. Charbonnet. Second down and 1. Smith under pressure. Smith throws along the near sideline. Smith and Jigba also over 100 yards on 10 receptions.
That's a way for Metcalf to rebound from last week.
Second and 10. Smith looking, pump fake, throws, caught. Metcalf hurdle. Right over the top of Jonathan Jones. Play clock again winding down. They try and draw the defense off sides. Yeah. Penalty marker, and the field goal unit now comes out following the delay of game. You know, we asked McDonald about what was going through his mind last week, first regular season game as a head coach, as Myers nails it. And he told us, I learned the buck stops with me with the first. That was a touchdown back in the first quarter. Third down and 3. Brissett hit as he got rid of it. So now the Seahawks will run out the clock. We asked the question, which of these rookie head coaches will go to 2-0? Second down and 8. Overtime in Foxborough. Brissett steps up.
Oh,
throws,
nice catch.
And it is caught by K.J. Osborne in overtime. There is a flag. Stevenson does not get there. Smith to the outside. Empty set from the 31. Smith firing downfield, and the adjustment made by Lockett. A couple of flags are thrown as well. Jonathan Jones says who me?
Number 31, defense. Automatic. First down.
Smith backpedaling. Charbonnet makes the catch.
Oh, he got the first down.
Charbonnet shifts. Smith rolling right on first down. Now looking the other way. Smith throws complete at the 25-yard line. Lockett. Both teams won their openers last week under rookie head coaches. Here's Charbonnet inside the 15, forced out of bounds at the 12. Myers from 31 yards out. Dixon places it down. And the Seattle Seahawks go to 2-0. Under their rookie head coach, Mike McDonald, they defeat Gerard Mayo and the New England Patriots in overtime.
Tough loss, Shawn Michaels.
One of the things that surprised me, Geno Smith is the leading passer for week 2 in the NFL with 327 yards, most yards,
Okay.
right? It kind of was disappointing after the showing that the defense had against the Bengals. More on that when we get to the Bengals game against the Chiefs. But it kind of made me wonder to what happened, because it didn't seem quite that bad, right? Meanwhile, the Patriots offense and a lot of cornerbacks were in this range, less than Well, 149 yards passing, right? As much as it looked early that they were spreading the ball around to some extent, at the end of the day, towards the end of the game, Hunter Henry had a hell of a day, but he was the only pass catcher, 109 yards, 8 receptions. That's usually not his numbers. He's more like a mid guy, like 4 catches, 60, 50, maybe 70, maybe 80, right? But we had 2 rushers over 80 yards, right? Stevenson and Gibson combined for over 170, I think it's 177 yards rushing, something like that.
Okay.
And it was interesting, though, that one of the things is, one, we had 2 rushers with relatively a combined high rushing total. The tight end, it does kind of lend credence to what Gerard Mayo said. This is a run-first team. That's one of the reasons why the tight end's going to have numbers, because he's going to be out on the field. So if they're going to change the play to a passing play, most likely they're going to have packages where, okay, we'll run it with the tight end. He's also there. How do we kind of use him, take advantage of him being out there, right? Because the idea is, ideally, and if Gronkowski was playing in this time period, I think he would have a field day with some of these defenses with his physical mismatch. Because ideally, if they're strong enough to stop us in the run game with Henry being an extra blocker, they might not be fast enough to cover him, in which case we could exploit that. And perhaps that could have been some of the case here. But unfortunately, the wide receiver core, as much as all the promise they have, we don't even have anybody with 20 yards receiving after Henry, which is kind of sad. Meanwhile, the Seahawks and DK Metcalf proved, first of all, DK Metcalf was low down on the list of the top 100, right? I find. And to me, I think he might be the best player on the Seahawks. He's the guy that's like, if there's one guy that's going to beat you, he's going to beat you. He only had 129 yards and only 1 touchdown. But the trick with the Seahawks is they also have another guy, right? Over 100 yards. Jackson Smith Njigba. Don't ask me how to pronounce it. I think he's partially, one of his parents is from Sierra Leone. Similar, 117 yards. So they have a 2-headed monster. Geno Smith, I think what is interesting, and he's the first quarterback this week, I'm starting to look at a trend where they have some guys who came in with a bit of fanfare. Geno did it, and a couple others that we're going to watch did it. And then things didn't work out, and now they have second chances, or in some case third, and it's starting to look good for them. They're starting to look like they're in their form. And I think it's because the NFL product, the teams, they started to get maybe too laser focused on these athletes coming out of college, and the college games centered around their athleticism. Meanwhile, some of these guys like Geno Smith are like, look, I'm a veteran now, I've been here, I've done that, and I am able to play like a veteran quarterback, to play from the pocket, to do all the things that only my position could do, right, to get us to win. And the fact that he had over 300 yards, which back in the day, that would have been average, but in 2024, this is above average. The league is seeing record low numbers in passing yards, which is crazy. Some of the top throwers of the ball had less than 200 yards. So Geno Smith being the guy, I don't think people would have necessarily seen that coming when he started to be labeled a bust. And now all of a sudden the NFC West have to look at the Seahawks as, I can't just take it for granted that we're going to win this game. At least for now. It's still week 2, so that's also what makes it.
Overall, happy with the start that your team would have made given the preseason?
You know, the funny part is, and I thought about this after the game, because I knew, I said, it all depends on how they play. It's not if they win or lose, it's how they play. And they played well enough.
Said that, yeah.
They played well enough for me to be...
To make you want them to win.
That's the problem.
Yes.
Right? So when they lost, I was like, but you could have won. And the way how they lost by a blocked field goal, that's not necessarily a skill thing. That's an execution, maybe a little bit of luck, not a skill, not a coaching thing. Well, maybe a little bit of, of a coach like Tibbet. But that was a hard one to take. And usually my experience with my Patriots is when we have years where we have games like that, where, it's close but just out of reach, they're heartbreaking years, but It's not likely that we're going to just magically turn it around. We'll be a contender all up until the 11th hour. We're not going to necessarily make it for the 12th. I hope that's not the case here because, again, it's week 2. So you never know, but we'll see. We'll see.
All right, we're going to take a short break. We've got the news next at 3 o'clock. When we come back, we continue looking at more matches in this week 2 of the NFL. We'll be back. Welcome back, welcome back. This is WESN Content Capital Face of Sport. It's Thursday. Sean Michael Small is with me and we're talking the NFL. Next up, we're going to look at the Dallas Cowboys. Yes, how does it go? Oh, look at those Cowboys.
How about them Cowboys?
How about them Cowboys?
Listen, I feel as though me and Stephen A. Smith, we share a moment every time this game happens. And it's not about who the Cowboys play against. It's the result, but I will leave that. Yeah.
Right. So it's the Cowboys against the Saints.
Here comes Parsons, gets rid of it, and he's got a completion. Shaheed trying to turn the corner. He can't, but he's got a first down. Here's Carr, quick drop. Toss over the middle, Shaheed's got it again. Upfield, he goes for a first down.
Different personnel groupings, motions. It's really identifying itself, this game plan.
Play pass, deep drop. Carr lets it zip, and he's got it to Olave on the move. Inside the 20, Chris Olave's got a first and goal. Here's Camaro running right side. Camaro surges in for the touchdown.
Guyton didn't love the way he played. I love the way he played. They're going to count on him today.
Pressure on Dak, floats out. Oh, Schoonmaker, one-hander. Well, that's a good way to deliver in.
Try to slow down the edge with these chips.
Prescott has some time. Going to dump it down to Dowell. He's got a way to go. Cuts up field. He's going to be short, but certainly in field goal range.
Bang him through the uprights. God bless him.
This one's from 52, and that is up and through. The entire first half last week. Different game. Jamal Williams in the game at bat. Carr, pressure, lets it fly. Going deep, Shaheed. He's got it! Touchdown, New Orleans! A bomb to Shaheed!
See if this pass game can get him going.
Yeah, they have Turpin in the backfield this time. Here's Lamb who slides down right around midfield. That's good enough for a Cowboys first down.
Dak's got to sort out these protections.
They drop for the most part. Prescott goes underneath, has a catch, and he's got a first down. Brandon Cooks has his first of the game to keep the drive moving.
Got to get production. I'd expect some reverses, some speed sweeps. These inside zones are tough.
That time it actually worked, though, as Elliott put the head down, bowled forward. Prescott, time over the middle. There's Lamb. In stride, first down is down inside the 15.
I know that you know that I know. Get back to your assignment.
Here's a little trickery. Cooks looking for a block, and Cooks is met in the backfield. Alontae Taylor. 13th play of the drive. Prescott in trouble, and he is sacked. Carl Granderson gets home to put a halt to that drive.
They just get to the middle of the pocket and power drive you. Good stop.
Here's Aubrey, who hits from 38 yards out. So the Cowboys disappointed. Both drives have to settle for field goals.
What's going on with Prescott? They're only getting field goals and they're getting bombarded with touchdowns. Sean Michael Small, it doesn't look good. I remember watching this game and telling myself, wait, what's going on there? I didn't expect this.
So I don't think a lot of people thought the Saints were going to be anything big this year.
Yeah.
You know, maybe not necessarily that they're going to be bad, but the expectations. Now, the guy that stands out, I think off the jump, might be Alvin Kamara, right?
He scored the first touchdown.
He's not necessarily a power back,
Yeah.
but the thing about this Cowboys team, and we were discussing it because we had this moment, week 3, now it ended up last year, week 3, not necessarily being something that was replicated throughout the rest of the regular season, right? But I think it's the ideal blueprint to beat this team. It's almost the same blueprint. If my running game, if my offensive line is heavier and is skilled enough, which it probably doesn't take much, right? I'm going to just push them on their back foot and run the ball down their throat. And then I could dictate the game. That's the problem. It's not just I'm going to have this tactic that I could utilize to move the ball a lot and get a lot of points. I am dictating the game because it's not as though they ran the ball or they were running the ball more than they were passing the ball. But one of the key things is that deep touchdown, which went, essentially, there were 2 defenders there, but Derek Carr was able to make the throw. He knew what the timing was, right? He knew that his guy was going to be ahead of the opposing defenders. He threw it so that he caught it in stride. And more importantly, I think the Cowboys defense have to start respecting the run more than what other teams would be doing versus the typical NFL offense now. The NFL has gotten to be very, very one-dimensional. Everybody's following the same trend, and everybody thus is defending the game the same way. Now, a couple years ago when Belichick was still with New England, I said, and I actually had this thought even before, that the running game was going to get more and more precedence because the league was becoming so pass-happy, where it's about speed. So what are you going to do? You're going to need lighter, quicker guys, right? Linebackers will get lighter. Maybe not the linemen, but everybody else besides the linemen, the big guys, right, are going to get lighter, going to get faster, right? And then now if I have a team predicated on strength and size, I could just bully you throughout the game. Yes. And the Cowboys didn't necessarily address that. Their off-season priority was CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott, who they paid big money to. Now, the thing is, that also means that a lot of their cap space is going to go to those guys. The hope, of course, is that the cap grows and then they'll be able to sign good players down the line. But right now, it seems as though the Saints came with a balanced attack, and the Cowboys are built to play with a lead, right? This is the 98 Vikings. This is the Colts from the 2000s. If they do not have a lead, their defense looks suspect because it's predicated on pass rushing. Pass rushers need to be a bit faster, need to not necessarily be as stout. So the Saints now, they're not necessarily going to run the ball every play, but the threat. You know, it's like basically a fighter now where you use your jab and you use some of your punches to set up the uppercut, to set up your finishing move, which you don't necessarily throw the finishing move out quite that often to get that knockout, right? You're using it a lot less in some ways than the setup. So they're playing somewhere along the time at the height of the Brady, Manning, Breeze era. All of a sudden, the NFL became a pass to set up the run. Before it used to be run to set up the pass. I think the Saints, to some extent, they are balanced enough where, no. We're going to run to set up the pass, right? And then you're going to be on the back foot. And the Cowboys are so unbalanced that despite the talent they have, I think there was one, it might have been the first run, where Micah Parsons, he was the only Cowboys defender that seemingly held his ground, but he couldn't do everything. So he tried to one-arm grab Kamara and got basically pushed on his backside. There wasn't any, that whole defense just got moved out to the side. So now it's in your head, ooh, we have to put more effort, and then it goes over the top. And once that happens, the game, I think, for the defensive game plan just goes out of control. And at this point, I think the Cowboys defense is guessing, and Derek Carr is looking like a superstar out there. It could just be that the Cowboys defense weren't ready for this particular test.
All right, let's watch the end of this game.
Crowd's trying to get back into this game. Look at this, Taysom Hill at a quarterback, little wildcat. Going to get outside. Hill will get there and more.
And then really to excel at it.
Lined up as a tailback here. Fake it to him. Carr zips it over the middle. Olave in stride. Another beautiful throw from Carr and a first down for the Saints.
Try to move Parsons around. Try to get him to get pressures. They haven't even had an opportunity to pressure it. This might be one of them right here.
First third and long of the game. Inside looking for Taysom Hill. There's a penalty flag. Jordan Lewis is all over him. Would be an automatic first down on a 3rd and 9.
Yeah, just hooks him with his left hand.
Defense number 2. Kamara looking for his 4th touchdown of the game. Stays on his feet. Alvin Kamara's got 4. What a drive by the Saints.
Great scheme, great execution. So incredible watching there.
And the kick is no good.
If we can march it down, get a touchdown, great. But don't force the ball and go from bad to worse.
2nd and 1, quick throw here. Coming near side, Schoonmaker's got a first down and more. And he chucks his way down. So certainly concerned there, and the Cowboys need a lot in a little bit of time. Here's Prescott over the middle. Has a completion there. It's Tolbert who's had a nice second half so far. Got another first down.
Which receivers are going to produce more yards? What tight end can go in there? What can he actually do to help us gain yards on offense?
Going the corner here. Oh my goodness, what a hit as Lamb got smoked by Will Harris. Prescott looking the other side of the field, and it's incomplete. Double coverage there on Brevin Spanford, the 3rd tight end, and the Saints will take over.
Being here in front of this great audience that loves football too.
Here's Carr all day, zips it high, intercepted. It was off the fingertips of Olave, and Donovan Wilson comes down to it, and the Cowboys get a much-needed break.
Play a clean quarter of football, see what they can make of it.
Starting here over the middle, into double coverage, and it's a pick. Tyrann Mathieu gets him an interception. Blitz coming on 4th down. Prescott just going to throw it deep. Going down there for Jalen Brooks. It is knocked away by Adebo, and the Saints will take over.
That's a high percentage of completion. It's huge yards per attempt. You're going to get
field goal is good.
Yeah, and you're going to get that when you run the ball as well as they have. So
a resounding victory for them here today, coming into Arlington and beating up the Cowboys, and the Saints are 2-0.
Wow.
Saints had 7 guys with rushing attempts.
Yeah.
Right? Focus mostly on Alvin Kamara. They had Jamal Williams take 8 carries to kind of spell him a little bit. Right? Wow. Derek only threw for 243 yards. He only attempted 16 throws. Only 16 pass attempts. He made 11 of them.
Not good.
Well, no, it's good in the sense of 243 yards on 11 completions.
No, I'm saying not good for the
Cowboys.
For the Cowboys.
Well, here's the thing. Dak is now the big money man.
Yeah.
And he has CeeDee Lamb, one of the other big money people. And technically, although I think, sports media was saying, well, who else they have besides CeeDee Lamb? Well, they're supposed to have, let me just get his name, a very good number 2 wide receiver in where is he? In the form of Brandon Cooks, but Brandon Cooks was pretty silent that day. Look, their running game was almost non-existent. I think their best rusher had 30 yards, and they had another rusher with 16 yards. So 4.3 yards a carry, and then 2.7 yards a carry is bad. They had a guy with 6 yards, but he only had 2 attempts. That was Dak himself. Their tight end only had 43 yards, and I think because the running game is not much of a threat, all of a sudden the tight end position is not as versatile. So the value of it, it's just not there, right? Yes, Tolbert and Lamb, they got 82 yards and 90 yards, and Dak threw for almost 300 yards, but he threw 2 picks. You get a pick. You could maybe, if you do everything right, mathematically it would be very hard. At least make the game look more competitive, yes, and you throw a pick right back. You are a big money man. And when so much of the salary cap is centered on you, you can't afford to make mistakes, because if we use this money to get 5 guys who were upper middle players, right? They would all have to make mistakes to equal to your 1 mistake. That's the problem when you are the superstar. I think Jason McCourty said it best with regards to his time with the Patriots, right? I think he was there for like 1 year or 2 years, got a Super Bowl. But Chuck said, look, I need my stars to play like stars. I need my role players maybe to elevate their game, but I need my stars to play like stars. And all of Cowboys Nation wants to say how Dak is the best, Dak is this, Dak will get us the Super Bowl. Well, he's never proved to have the clutch gene, right? The clutch gene is, if we want to go with football, Brady, Montana, right? Aikman, Manning, to some extent at least. Roethlisberger is probably even more clutch than Manning and Breeze and Rodgers, right? As much as I think he's underrated. But if you want to go to basketball, obvious, MJ, Kobe, Stephen Curry, right? The clutch gene, the guys that will, Bird, Magic, in adversity, they're going to rise. They're going to outshine you with the pressure. And Dak doesn't seem like that guy. So that's one of the other aspects to games like this. When it gets out of control, their defense can't help him.
He seemed a fool there.
Right. His defense can't help him. He doesn't have a running game. You are the big money man. That means it's all on you. Now, I'm not saying that under these conditions, we should still expect him to win the Super Bowl. But the star quarterbacks like Rodgers, like Breeze, like Brady, still won games. When the game was all on them, when the defense was suspect and they had no running game and it was all on their shoulders, they still won games, right? Now, maybe the Saints are a wheel beater, are a contender, and we just didn't necessarily know it. Derek Carr looked good. 11 yards for, he had 20 yards. I mean, as a team, the time of possession was relatively even, right? But the yards per play, Cowboys 5.3, Saints 7.7. When you just get outplayed like that, that's not good. They had similar amount of first downs, similar-ish third down efficiency, similar time of possession, 2 picks, and a lackluster performance.
Let's go to the big game. Big game.
This is the big game?
Kansas City Chiefs.
No.
Which is the big game?
We don't have that game yet.
All right.
The real rumble in the jungle.
All right.
The real rumble in the jungle.
Which one for you?
Buccaneers
and the Lions.
I would say the most entertaining game
Buccaneers
this week.
the Lions.
And who's playing in this game? Your boy.
Baker Mayfield.
Exactly. Come on, man. How are you going to discount Baker like that?
No, people, I'm glad that I finally have, and Josh, I want you and Ryan to be evidence. You notice I did not say it. I allow him to say what I've been saying for a long time about Baker Mayfield. He has finally admitted it, that I was right. So let's go, Baker Mayfield.
When did I say that?
2nd and 9, clean pocket. Godwin with the pluck, and Chris Godwin down at the Tampa Bay 49 in the arms of former Buck Carlton Davis.
For an offense that's in a new system.
That has not been the case in Tampa Bay the last couple of years. Mayfield, another clean pocket, and he wants a deep shot for Trey Palmer, tipped away. Working against Terrion Arnold, and there's a flag.
Pass interference, defense number 0. This is a spot foul and an automatic first down.
A little bit of shove right there, right as the ball's coming in, and it impacts Trey Palmer.
2nd and goal. Mayfield throws, tipped, and incomplete. Excellent defensive play as Brian Branch got a hand on it. White in motion. Mayfield pumps. He's in trouble. Ball is out. Loose ball. It's covered by Tampa. Aiden Hutchinson with the strip sack to end the Tampa Bay threat.
And see how prepared Justin School is to fill in for Luke Gedeke.
30-yard try for Chase McLaughlin gets the Buccaneers on the board. Gibbs in motion, both backs out there. Goff throwing over the middle, and it's intercepted. Zion McCollum, just cleared from concussion protocol yesterday, delivers with his first pick of the season on play number 1 today. 3 on the play clock. Just gets the snap off. Mayfield in trouble. Mayfield is sacked. It's Hutchinson again. Levi Onwuzurike with a push as well. 3rd and 22. Godwin picks his way forward. Godwin just caught at the 37-yard line. McLaughlin was good from 56 in warm-ups and 56 a week ago. From 55 for McLaughlin, and it is good by plenty.
Dan Campbell, I liked his approach.
Jared Goff, here's his approach, going deep down the sideline for Williams, drops it in the bucket to the 20-yard line.
We'll get back to Dan Campbell's approach to this game.
It was a challenge at times last week on third down. See what the Lions do here on 3rd and goal. Inside the 4. Goff looks to the end zone, too high. Jamison Williams, the intended target for Jake Bates, 2 for 2 in his young NFL career. And Bates makes it 3 for 3.
Well, the Rams did not run it, and I think that's one of the things that Liam Cohen has to decide today.
Baker Mayfield in trouble again, able to get free. Baker on the run. He's got a first down across the 40-yard line. 3rd and 8. Here comes the heat. It's Hutchinson again. Number 3, the hat trick for Aiden Hutchinson in the first quarter.
Hutchinson, where he came from?
I think he's one of the, I believe he's one of the homegrown players in the system, right? He was there last year.
From Detroit.
From Detroit, right? A lot of their success now is based on drafting. Well, I mean, technically, yes, they gave up the veteran Stafford for the, I believe, slightly younger Goff, right?
Right.
But the core of their team is basically homegrown. They have brought in some free agents, yes.
Okay.
But, I mean, I couldn't believe that he got 3 sacks in a quarter, right?
I am still trying to figure it out myself.
2 sacks in a game is a good game.
Yeah.
Right? Because 10 sacks in a season with now 17 games is a decent season for a pass rusher. You could potentially command a good chunk of money. You could even be the leader in sacks for that year with just 10 sacks in a season, right? So the fact that he got 3, and he didn't end with just 3, but the fact that he got 3 in a quarter was ridiculous. So now, of course, the question is, to what extent is the Buccaneers really having to look at the offensive line protection? But one of the things about this game, why I thought this was the game of the week, when you look at the flow of the game. Now, first of all, the first half was field goal. This is the Buccaneers. Then Lions field goal. Then Buccaneers touchdown. Like, this is not a high-scoring half. But it felt as though a lot was happening in this half. A lot of big plays. You saw that big throw that Goff made to his wide receiver. You know, of course, your boy Baker Mayfield. You know, I think Steve Harvey right now is literally like cussing his television because he's a big Cleveland fan.
Right.
At NFL honors when Baker Mayfield was drafted, he made a big deal about how Baker Mayfield meant so much to Cleveland. Then they moved on from him, got Watson, and how does that look now?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So, but this game, I mean, Goff, Mayfield, similar to the guy in Seahawks, Geno Smith. Quarterbacks, I think people essentially were thinking, at best, these are just going to be mid-tier guys, backup guys, journeyman quarterbacks, you know, take a flyer on them, see what happens, disposable if anything goes wrong. It's not big money guys. Right now, still week 2, but I'm starting to feel more impressed by these guys than most of the young, talented, big arm, fast runners, tall, height, weight, speed, could throw the ball real far, could throw the ball real fast, but it's like, yeah, but these guys, they're like veterans that they kind of earn their dues, and they're showing that, look, the number one priority for this position is decision making.
Yep.
And it seems as though they're getting it together. Maybe because the NFL is so one-dimensional now. Everybody's just kind of running the same thing for the most part. Not quite the same way, but a lot of the same concepts, right? Where they just want to play this cover 2 shell. That for the old guys who actually came up in a proper pro-style offense, it's actually a little bit easier. Their background, their foundation, it's a little bit easier to deal with these looks because these looks are designed to deal with the college-type game. They're designed to be the answer to the question, how do I stop these dual-threat college quarterbacks? This is how you do it, right? They're too impatient. They want to throw the ball along the field. And they can't deal with a defense that's just as fast as them. But if I'm not going to try to outrun the defense with my legs, if I'm going to try to outthink the defense, all of a sudden, and I think this is why the pros initially resisted the college game, because there are flaws in it. And now, this is actually I don't think anybody predicted this will happen, that the running game is making such a prominence. I mean, spoiler, I think the Chiefs have a rookie fullback. They have teams that did away with fullbacks. The Chiefs might be one of the teams that probably thought we don't need a fullback moving forward, right? And I expect that trend is going to change soon enough. But then, on top of that, Baker Mayfield, Geno Smith, Jared Goff, Lions are looking like a team that nobody wants to face this year.
All right, let's watch the end of this game.
Second and 1 at the 27-yard line. Play action, pressure coming. Goff to the sideline. He's got Raymond and Khalif Raymond with a first down. Tyke Smith on the coverage.
Lion. Dribble set.
Four-man rush. Goff to the air. Finds his target. Amon-Ra St. Brown out of bounds right at the line to gain. Lions down 4. Goff over the middle. He's got Laporta, and Laporta is a yard short of the first down at the 36 of Tampa Bay.
Oh, wow, that's an interesting formation on 4th and 1.
And it's Gibbs on the sweep to the edge. First down and more. Gibbs down the sideline. Gibbs tiptoeing out of bounds with a first down at the 14. 5 defensive backs for Tampa Bay. Laporta in motion. Goff to Gibbs. Gibbs to the 10, and he's planted by Dennis. Oh, Servassier Dennis like a heat-seeking missile out of nowhere. Goff. Pressure comes. Goff throws over the middle, caught at the 6, but he can't turn it upfield, and Gibbs is turned away. Christian Izzian.
It's a sure completion that gives him an opportunity.
It's White in the backfield. Fakes the toss. Ball's batted down, incomplete. Derek Barnes with the swat. Not only does it stop the clock with the incompletion, but it gives Detroit and Jared Goff a timeout to work with.
Because you never know what's going to happen with one of your talented guys out in space.
There's Jake Camarda to punt it away. Khalif Raymond will come up on this one from the 47. Raymond to midfield into Tampa territory across the 45, and Jared Goff is going to have a short field. All 3 facets. 2 have stepped up, and now Goff to work on first down. It's Amon-Ra St. Brown. Goff with a 4-man rush. Steps up, throws over the middle. It's Gibbs. Remember, no more timeouts. It's a first down to the 26. They've got to hurry. Clock running, 16 seconds and counting. Lions are set, and they spike it. No Amon-Ra St. Brown. He's on the sidelines. Second down. Goff throws for the sideline. Williams, does he get both toes in? No. Incomplete, out of bounds.
Goes up, there's possession. There's one.
Goff, backside pressure, throws sideline, deflected away. McCollum again. Goff looks, skips it down at the 14-yard line, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have come into Detroit and gotten a measure of revenge for the loss in the postseason last year.
Baker Mayfield, vengeance is mine, he said after that loss in the playoffs last season.
That's one point. But then the funny part about it is when you look at the stats of the game, in all but one important category, one could argue Jared Goff outplayed Baker Mayfield, except he had 2 picks. No touchdowns and 2 picks. 300 yards, that's all well and good. 34 completions, but 55 attempts, 2 picks. A fumble is one thing. A fumble, to me, there's a certain degree of randomness and opportunistic play. Even if the defense used skill to get the fumble, there's a bit of an opportunistic set of circumstances that needs to go right to get a fumble, right?
Right.
Unless it's like a strip sack of the quarterback, and even then, that's not guaranteed. An interception is different. You know, usually it means that either you were outplayed or you made a bad decision. There's also room for like just oopsies, right? But if the ball is deflected or whatever, to some extent that also could just be you were outplayed.
Yes,
The defender
correct.
got his hand in any
Yeah,
way.
yeah.
Or one of your guys did the wrong thing. Or you made the wrong decision. Why are you throwing it to the back of this guy's head? You're supposed to throw it over. So 2 picks, I think it very much undermined because as a team, when you look at the statistics, the Lions statistically look better in a lot of ways than the Buccaneers. 463 yards of offense versus 216, right? 26 first downs versus 14. 7 out of 17 third down efficiency as opposed to 2 out of 10. Now, to some extent, you could get away with that if you almost never reached the third down, right? Penalties, though, same number of penalties, but more yards than the Lions. Less punts by the Lions. Like, statistically speaking, when you look at the stats, you actually might have just on the safest thought the Lions won the game. They just outgained the Buccaneers. But I guess the Buccaneers did what they needed when it mattered to get points. Baker Mayfield, as much as I said, you know, I was kind of talking down on the young, new running quarterbacks. There was a point in the game where he got a few first downs in a row and got his rushing touchdown with one drive, just using his feet. But I think that was because it wasn't like this is the designed part of our offense. I think it was more like, look, I'm seeing how the flow of the game is going, and I'm making a decision in the moment, or you are really defending us, our passing game well. Well, now I will exploit it, as opposed to this is part of our offense, which you're going to scout and have measures to always be prepared for. So this was an interesting game because it's a lower scoring game, but watching it, it kind of felt as though, you know, it was a heavyweight fight with back and forth blows and good play. And Hutchinson, he is in his 3rd year, 2002, 2003, yeah, 3rd year, I think first or 2nd round draft pick, coming from the University of Michigan. So he's like his head coach, a bit of a homegrown talent. 5 sacks this game. That is probably one of the reasons why the Buccaneers' offensive statistics kind of look bad, because he was a force in this game. He was a force in part because of the Rams' injuries last game. So this will be interesting to see if he's going to now take up the mantle of that top-tier pass rusher defensive lineman that is vacant. That throne is vacant now that Aaron Donald has retired, one could argue relatively early. So it'll be interesting to see this Lions team and this Lions defense. But as I was telling you during the highlights, the culture of this team and how they built it, literally from the ground up.
So you expect him to have a great impact later on?
I think so, because I feel as though, barring some horrible mistakes, and I'm not just talking this year, I'm talking down the line with regards to personal decisions, because they're focused on culture and fit as much as talent. And there's something to be said about doing it that way, making sure you don't have a cancer in your locker room to undermine team unity, right? So to allow your stars to play like stars and your role players to up their game. Dan Campbell is part of that. Their GM is part of that. They have had a long-term vision for this team, and you could see the growth. So I think there's a couple of things. The league needs to worry about the Lions this year, but then they also need to worry about the Lions for the next couple of years, probably down the line.
Once they stay together.
Which is possible, because when you draft your players, you do a decent job drafting, your player bill is lower than the guys that have to.
But don't you think, and we're going to go to the other game shortly, but don't you think that if they don't win, Sean, then people want to leave?
Yeah, but I think part of it too is because you have a good culture and there's buy-in. Why would these group of players want to leave?
But if you're not winning,
well, the thing about it is, generally speaking, like one comes with the other.
Okay.
You're not really going to, I think it's similar to the Steelers, right? Even though the Steelers aren't winning Super Bowls, they're still a good team that has winning seasons, right?
Well, the Steelers would have done yet. The Steelers' name, I still think, is a lot higher ranked than Detroit Lions' name.
Right, but right now the Detroit Lions are higher ranked in the placings than the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's number one. Number two.
Well, not really, because the Steelers would have won. Well, anyway, all right, fine.
No, recently,
yes,
right?
Yes.
More importantly, the salary cap means that I am not going to be able, all of us can't go and play with Patrick Mahomes.
No.
Right?
I understand that.
And the teams that are lower on the totem pole, they usually, because they don't have a Patrick Mahomes to pay Patrick Mahomes money, or even a Dak Prescott, they usually have money to burn, right? That's why Tyreek Hill probably went to Miami. I don't think, as good as Tua is, I don't think, and Tyreek tried to sell this. Tua is not Patrick Mahomes.
Definitely
But he
not.
went to Miami because, look, a combination of the economics and whatever said, I'm going to go there, right? And so you need to be really bad for players to want to avoid you. And even then, Watson wanted to avoid Cleveland, but he was able to make Cleveland give up too much for him.
Certainly. All right, we spoke about Patrick Mahomes, so let's go to our next game.
As Joe told us last night, we weren't good in any facet, but they got an 8-yard gain on the first play of the game, and now Burrow flushed, completes to Sample for the second straight play.
There's the matchup. Best corner, best receiver.
Burrow looks at it, down the middle. He's got his man, and running room. Gesicki all the way down to the 6-yard line. And here's a 3rd and goal.
Nobody ran across with him, so it's going to be a zone coverage. They know it.
Burrow looks right, now in trouble. Gets away, enough to throw it in the direction of Irwin. This just 22 yards. And he's never missed against Kansas City. 12 for 12 in his career. 130 on the ground. And the Chiefs' only touchdown he scored in that game. Here he goes. It's Pacheco. Pacheco with touches on the first 3 snaps for Kansas City. Now they get it to Rashee Rice. Rice wiggles to get past one defender, picks up a first down, and you could just see the improvement. He was over 100 yards in that game on New Year's Eve against Cincinnati, and was last week as well. As Mahomes has all kinds of time. Threatens to throw it downfield and then takes off with it for 9 yards before he's shoved out by Hill. It was aided on the way down to the winning field goal with a shove out penalty personal foul on Cincinnati on that sideline. And here's a running play. And look at it, goes to Steele. Carson Steele, the rookie fullback.
But you can hold them to field goals, like you said.
2nd and 4. They like to do that here, but Pacheco has other ideas as he sprints to the 12-yard line. 3rd and goal.
We saw the Chiefs play this kind of ball to go win the Super Bowl last year, controlled.
Mahomes looking left. Now looking for options. Swings it over. Got his man. And the tackle is made a yard out of the end zone.
I just trusted the previous 3 plays where I didn't get that 2 yards, so I'm comfortable with this situation.
Butker boots it through. So both teams get inside the opponent 5 at Tennessee. There's Chase on the near side. 3rd and 9 it actually is. Burrow running out of the pocket and brought down by Dana. Their win week 17 last year against Cincinnati, regular and post. Start a new series with a pass down the middle and an interception. That is picked off by Davis Gaither. And Cincinnati's defense comes up with its first takeaway of the season. Here's a pass to a rookie tight end they really are excited about. Eric All.
With what he showed in training camp.
1st and 10. This is Chase Brown. He's explosive. Rookie Jermaine Burton, 81, in at receiver for Cincinnati. They have big expectations for him. He's at the top.
These 2 will be guarding Chase. Got to go somewhere else.
To the end zone. Pass. It is caught.
This is
checking the feet here.
This is the wide receiver who has to step up.
Yosivash has the touchdown.
All right, what a game we have here.
I must correct myself. Hutchinson is a 2nd overall pick.
For Lions.
Not a 2nd round pick.
Okay.
But I mean, that's to tell you, they were within range of that level of picks just 3 years ago. And then last year, they were maybe not for the Super Bowl, but they were playoff threat.
Definitely they were there competing.
Now, back to another playoff threat who has been slightly disappointing ever since their first year. The Bengals, injuries notwithstanding last year.
Quarterback, Joe Burrow.
Yes. The thing is, he didn't necessarily look quite like Joe Burrow in week 1. But this week, and I'll be honest, I did not expect things to start off and it's looking so competitive. I mean, that interception by Mahomes, though, that doesn't look like a Mahomes play, right? But it happens. But the Bengals, I think they had a game plan. Their tight end, they started to feed this new tight end early, and I'm pretty sure often. And I started to think in hindsight, because you know how some sports fans want to kind of play this, rock, paper, scissors kind of calculations of, well, this one beats that one, but that one beats the next one, right? So the Patriots beat the Bengals, but the Bengals played the Chiefs close, and the Seahawks beat the Patriots. So does that mean the Seahawks are better than the Chiefs, or the Patriots are just as good as the Chiefs? No, I don't think that. What I do think is perhaps the Bengals overlooked the Patriots, and were looking at this Chiefs game. And to some extent, if that's the truth, it paid off, because it's not as though the Chiefs kind of steamroll them, right? And this is Burrow coming off of his injury, probably has a lot more rust than Mahomes, who just got a Super Bowl win. So Mahomes might have fatigue, but he's definitely not going to have rust, right? And they're coming in, I guess you could say, with a decent enough game plan. But then there's this guy called Rashee Rice, who is kind of becoming more and more important to the Chiefs' passing offense. Because last year, he maybe would have been the only thing close to number 2 compared to Travis Kelce. Whereas these first 2 weeks, he seems to be the guy that is a focal point of maybe not the whole offense, but a significant amount of their plays, right? Which is interesting, because then Kelce's catch numbers for these last 2 weeks has been very insignificant almost, right? So I'm not entirely too sure what all that is about. Something similar happened with Gronk's last season in New England, when all of a sudden he just stopped being put out into routes more. I don't know if it's because they just need him to do pass blocking. Kelce was never that big of a blocker. Or it could just be that, look, we have this new shiny toy, and more importantly, if we could kind of not use you up in week 1 and week 2, because you're in your mid-30s now, Mr. Kelce, you are the vets of this team. We kind of want to have you as our old reliable when the playoffs come. So it could be that they're kind of easing him in, right? Meanwhile, Rice is looking pretty good at the end of the day. But the Bengals made this game competitive, and Burrow started kind of looking pretty good. I could say they were throwing the ball around. Gesicki and Burton coming to be a force. Chasers was the number 3 guy, actually. I think in part because the defense is going to clue on him. So one of the obvious things that any good team needs to answer is, I need my next man up, because my star isn't always going to be available. They're going to just double team him.
Right, you're right.
So there was a part of me that wanted to do that, to say, well, we beat Bengals, so they played the Chiefs close. So we might be better than we think. There is a part of me that really wishes that to be true, but I know better, because this is week 2, so that's the other thing. To what extent is the Bengals-Chiefs matchup in week 2 not a true indicator of where the teams really would be, say, if they played in week 14, where it might have been more decisive one way or the other? Because Burrow has the rep. He's the only active player to really beat Mahomes in a meaningful game, in a high-stakes game, a championship game. The only other guy to do it was Tom Brady. And Tom Brady's retired, so the league basically has no one else that they could hope for to slay the dragon. They essentially have to do it themselves if the Bengals can't do it. So that's the question.
All right, let's watch the end of this game.
Rico on the hold. McPherson, fearless. 4th lead change of the second half. 3rd and 10. Somebody jump early. No flag is out. Now there's a flag. As Mahomes throws on the run, it's caught by Kelce, but I think it's coming back because Kelce takes off. Kelce fakes the pass to the outside to Rashee Rice.
Exactly right. Offense number 76. 10-yard penalty, 3rd down.
Morris comes in, 64, caught the touchdown. Here it is, 3rd and 20 to Rice.
He's great at this.
They stack him up at the 30. Look at that tackle, would you? Oh, my goodness, as Smith-Schuster tosses Logan Wilson aside.
You got it, you got it. You got to go take it.
Most receiving yards in 3 years as Brown goes flying up ahead for 13 yards.
And bring someone over here.
3rd and 6. Pressure. They got the sack. And it's Connor. 2nd and 5. Wide open. Rice to the 42.
Here comes the motion by Kelsey. You're going to know he's going to go down. You see these manner zone. Get him going up the field and stop.
Mahomes. Flag is down in the offensive backfield as Rice makes the catch. But we'll check the flag.
Could almost single-handedly have won this game.
Illegal use of the hands of the face. Number 64 of the offense.
Oh, my goodness. Morris.
4th down.
That's against Hendrickson again. How many drives has he ended today by himself or put him in a hole?
You saw the hands to the face right there.
Back up and under.
3 rushing. Here he's coming up. Now he's going laterally. He's going to throw it on the run, and it's broken up, and there's no flag. Oh, flag comes in late. A flag comes in late. Bull. Yeah, he's there early.
Yep.
Gene Steratore.
That's the 2nd penalty on a huge play by Anthony.
Pass interference. Defense number 33. Ball is placed in the spot of a foul. 1st down.
Butker's kick for the win. He buries it.
Controversial call. I don't think I agree with that call because jump balls, defense have a right to go for the ball as well. When you have Hail Marys, it basically looks like that. So a lot of people are complaining this is the NFL scripting for the Chiefs, although they did call the penalty on the Chiefs lineman once again to put them in a bad position. So, but I don't know if these two things are equal because the Chiefs lineman's penalty was obvious, right? With that said, and we were saying this in the highlights, the Chiefs have a running game, 90 yards rushing. Mahomes only threw for 151 yards. This is why Geno Smith's over 300 yards is impressive because you had winning quarterbacks that threw less than 200, but he has a 90 yards rusher. And they didn't necessarily need, maybe Kelsey was doing a lot of run blocking in this game. Burrows had more yards passing, but at the end of the day, I mean, it was close. One could argue the Bengals were supposed to win this game, which makes our win against the Bengals feel all the more fuzzier. But at the end of the day, this is week 2, and things like this happen. I think the Bengals come away saying, well, we could keep up with you. So don't think, you could beat everybody else, but if we meet in the AFC Championship game, don't think it's going to be as easy.
We'll see. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to go to the results. Let's have a look at the first sheet of results from the Week 2. Results from Week 2. All right. So, Sean, let's go to the games we didn't cover. Chargers against Panthers.
Okay, Bryce Young is benched, and a lot of people are saying that the owner might be one of the worst owners of all times of any sports franchise, and they're blaming him. Now, the thing is, Bryce Young is so small. Mike Greenberg said that compared to him, Bryce Young looks small, which has been my problem with Bryce Young. But the situation is so bad. It's so bad. This is in a way unfair to the Chargers with one of the brothers. The coach is the brother. Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh, right? He's come in Chargers. He might have turned around Herbert's whole situation, hopefully, but this is not a good indicator. Browns beat your Jaguars, and I think that's a Myles Garrett factor. I don't think that's necessarily the Deshaun Watson factor.
It was a terrible game for the Jaguars. He took 2 turnovers, and he had a chance to win the game, and it was an awful game for Trevor Lawrence.
My thing is bringing in Mac Jones, a reclamation project, when you still have a young quarterback who had a horrible first year, right? And you're falling behind guys in your own division because CJ Stroud has hit the ground running. I don't think that was a good idea. And I'm questioning the Jaguars situation now. I feel your boy needs a new head coach.
Yeah, Raiders, Ravens, shocked?
A little bit, because the Raiders quarterback, Gardner Minshew, is again one of those reclamation projects, not on the level of Smith and Mayfield, right? But also, I think ultimately, now they have one of the best pass rushers, they have some good pieces, one of the best wide receivers, etc., etc. But if the Ravens want to be taken seriously, and Lamar Jackson had a beautiful touch pass that a lot of players of his style normally can't do, like Cam Newton, as much as I love him. But you have to win these games.
Yeah, and
it is week 2, but you have to win these games.
Records will show that the first time since 2015 that the Ravens have lost the first 2 games in the NFL.
Yeah.
So that in itself is something.
Things like that. Also, the Bengals are 0-2, so things like that make me feel happier with my Patriots 1-1.
All right. Rams against the Cardinals. Let's have a look. You continue to look at the sheet. Rams against the Cardinals.
Injuries.
Okay, we didn't finish.
Yeah.
Right. Rams against the Cardinals, yes.
Injuries are the problem. So the Rams, Puka Nacua not being part of it. I don't think they necessarily have the depth to deal with these injuries, so this is unfortunate. Also, similar to week 3 last year, the Cardinals shellacked a team, right? Week 2, as the Cowboys, who got shellacked last year by the Cardinals, the same week the Cowboys got shellacked by somebody else, the Cardinals shellacked somebody else. So I don't know what to make of that.
Steelers, Broncos.
Steelers have a very interesting quarterback situation with Trey Lance. I know it's because of Russell Wilson's injury, although he did wear pads in week 1. The thing is, though, it might be kind of sad for Russell Wilson to have another chance, and this might be a better chance with Mike Tomlin, only for an injury to kind of Wally Pip him by default. But he did get essentially, and Tomlin said, I'm not going to comment about it, what happens behind closed doors is for my team. He gave him a petty game ball. We beat your former team, you're going to get a game ball just cause. So Tomlin knows how to coach, folks. He knows.
Bears, Texans.
I'm surprised that the Texans scored so low, I'll be honest, in this game. I think the Bears, Caleb Williams, this is literally the reverse. One team, their high pick, second overall pick, looks really good from his rookie year. But it's almost like if the Bears are making, I don't know if they're making some of the same mistakes as the Panthers, because Caleb Williams was really good, but not really seeing it so far. It's still only week 2.
But they won the first game, the Bears, nevertheless.
Yeah, what's that? He didn't look good in that.
All right. Falcons, Eagles, surprise.
Yes, because the Falcons won the game by doing something that they did not do all game. They had a running game. They methodically moved the ball down the field, took the time, and then in the last however many seconds, less than 2 minutes, they just marched down the field and won in the most pathetic fashion because it was a simple out route.
Just because you don't like Kyler Murray, you saying that?
No, Kyler Murray's the Cardinals.
Oh, sorry. All right,
you forget.
All right,
you forget.
I just know you don't like one of those teams with A's.
No. Here's the thing: the Eagles. And I think it's because it was the Monday night game from Tuesday. That was the top story with the coaching decisions. Sirianni is now, they're starting to question him. Does he really have what it takes because of his decision making with regards to how he managed the end of the game, right? But I think he is unlucky because Cousins basically went beast mode. He went Super Saiyan. He just he leveled up literally in the last minute and a half and said, I'm going to beat you. But his defense, a lot of people are questioning 2 things. The coach's decisions just before the Falcons' last drive, but the defensive play during that last drive.
So quickly, let's look ahead.
Of the Eagles.
Let's look ahead to some of the games this week. We're going to look at the sheet with some of the games this week. We're going to quickly go ahead to the games coming up. Right. Which game stands out for you? Quickly.
Well, the Dolphins Seahawks would have been a good game, but unfortunately Tua's not there. Baltimore, Dallas.
That's a
the thing is,
two teams coming off the back of the field.
On paper, Baltimore is supposed to win that game. That should be one of the best games of the week. Now, if Arizona could play how well they played, that Detroit-Arizona game should also be good. But Baltimore, if they play to Derrick Henry's strengths, they should literally copy and paste what the Saints did to the Cowboys. But I don't know if they have all the other pieces needed, right? The problem is the Ravens' right side of the offensive line apparently is not that good. But I don't know if you need to have a good offensive line to run the ball on these Cowboys. But hey, I've been complaining about their game plans since last year's playoffs.
All right, we'll see what Mustangs.
But there's also another game that's not here. And that's tonight's game. Jets
Yes.
versus
It
Patriots.
might be on the first sheet. Oh, just, why did you do the Patriots that?
That's you.
Unkind blow there.
That's you. That's
An
him.
unkind blow.
He picks these
Not
sheets, folks.
to show
Bring
the
the character in.
Patriots game.
He picks these sheets.
Not to
You
show
know?
the Patriots game. Unkind.
Jealousy.
The unkindest cut of all.
Jealousy. Right? Oh, when the Jaguars is looking hot, he wanted to show all of it. But now he hiding and he's hiding. I probably want to pick the Jaguars game either.
Anyway.
I probably want to show the Jaguars game.
Shawn Michael Small is happy. How long it will last, only time will tell.
You got to put it in context. I'm happy for the long term. I don't expect that much of a great things. I just want progress, right?
All right. So good luck tonight to your team. Good luck.
The Jaguars.
You should not lose to the Jets, eh?
The Jaguars.
Don't let the old man beat you.
The Jaguars are trending down.
Don't let the old man
The
beat you.
Jaguars are trending down.
Don't let the old man
right?
beat you. Aaron Rodgers, the veteran 40-year-old.
The Jaguars are like Man United
Anyway,
without the championships.
Wow. All right, good. You deal with Keaton and Rodney on that. As we go, much thanks to Neil, much thanks to Rodney, much thanks to Keaton. Shawn Michael Small is here. Of course, Josh doubling up as usual. He's there helping out Ryan Gomez working, of course, Mile when he's here. This has been WESN Content Capital Face of Sports. Tomorrow, Fun Friday. We'll be back. Bye.